The Sky Mantra's might.
Yes, the opening is Rapha soloing Hashmal with one action on Tactician. I told you the next one will be stupid, right? Also, some of you probably noticed this video is not titled as build guide, but as a job guide. That's because both of the series have the potential of doing absurd amount of damage with their skills. But to reach that you need to really cheese out the game mechanics. Their skill sets, however, can be added to many different builds and work quite well there. So I'll give you a rundown of their unique job gimmicks, so you can break the game in any way you like. While playing the original release, I benched both of the siblings quite quickly. Their unique skills have random targeting and a random amount of hits. Plus, their damage wasn't exactly high when I tried them out. And I almost did the same in this version of the game. But during the process of doing my videos on other characters, I took a deeper look at their mechanics and math under their skills. Turns out, numbers there are quite nice. But before we go over them, let's take a quick look at both of the Seer's jobs. As far as stat growth goes, both of those jobs are bad. Almost as bad as normal Squire. Modifiers are also on the weaker side, with only speed being something of note. Marach has an advantage over his sister with movement 4, but that's the only thing that I can call good in all of their job stats. Gear access of both of them is also quite bad for their skills. While both of them have access to hats and robes, the weapon selection options are a big handicap in the terms of boost to magical attack. Lack of shield proficiency also does not work in their favor. What saves them both and actually gives them an absurd damage potential is their skill selection. And that means it's time for some math on the screen. The skills of both Skyseer and Netherseer mirror themselves in effects and cast speed. However, their damage calculation formulas are different. Let's take a quick look at Heaven's and Hell's Wrath. Both have casting speed 34, so 3 clock ticks, and also deal lightning damage to the target. In both cases, the skill does not use MP, is not evadable, and cannot be copied by mime. They can hit between 1 and 10 times in the target area, with a very distinct bias towards the center tile. For Rapha, the damage formula looks like this. As you can see, we have a double dip into her magic attack stat, and that skill completely ignores fate values for both caster and the target. Marach's damage offers a little bit of a twist. It has an opposite fate scaling than the rest of the fate dependent magic in the game, in addition to much higher base modifier for damage calculations. Not to mention that Marach's fate value can be safely dropped to 3, so you can have at least 97% damage efficiency multiplier from his base stats. So let's do a quick comparison with example values. Assuming magic attack of 20 on both siblings, we get 20 times 20 plus 10 divided by 2, so 300 damage for Rapha. And for Marach, we'll assume that his fate value is at 3 and the target has the fate value of 65. After putting the numbers into the equation, we get 184 damage. As you can see, the number on Marach's side is much lower than Rapha's, even if you practically maximize his fate portion of the equation. To reach his sister's values, Marach needs a target with around 40 fate, and that's hard to find in normal circumstances. Later in the video I show you some options for that, but for now let's continue with the skills breakdown. Ashura and Nether Ashura are the fire variant of Seer's damage skills. They both are a little bit slower with casting speed of 25, so 4 clock ticks. They, of course, have better constant values in their damage formulas, but other than that, no changes. The pattern repeats themselves with Adamantine Blade and Nether Blade. Damage type is changed to Wind, their cast speed goes down to 20, and the damage formula values goes up once again. And you shouldn't be surprised when I tell you that Maelstrom and Nether Maelstrom also follow the same rules. Damage is changed to Water type, cast time goes down to 17, so 6 clock ticks, but damage numbers go a little more than you would expect. Finally, time for something different. Celestial and Corporeal Void are non-elemental attacks with cast speed of 20. Their damage is the lowest from all of the Seer's skills, with formulas that look like this. The supposed upside of those skills is 24% chance of inflicting a status ailment with each damage hit. And we have a quite long list to choose from. Blind, Confuse, Silence, Poison, Toad, Slow, and Sleep. Just to be clear, it's not a 24% chance of inflicting each of those. It's a 24% chance of inflicting one from the list, chosen at random. That makes them the first really bad skills in Seer's skillset. So let's quickly move to the last two. Divinity and Impiety are the slowest with the cast speed 15, and the strongest with their damage formula looking like this. They deal earth damage, and that can be a problem if the target is flying, like the last boss of the game. Other than that, 7 clock ticks is slow, but with Swift Spell still can be castable. Overall, their unique skillset can be quite useful, especially if you take into account their ability to multi-hit, and ease of stacking the multipliers for elemental damage. So let's talk about this for a second. Some of you may not know this, but weather effects in this game give modifiers for elemental attacks. Thunderstorms and rainstorms will boost lightning damage by 25% and reduce fire damage by the same amount. Snowstorms, on the other hand, will boost ice damage by 25%. In the case of our siblings, the first fact is actually important. Their fastest skill is dealing lightning damage, so if you deploy them when it rains, damage output goes up by a noticeable amount. Another stacking modifier that we can easily add is elemental boost from equipment. The best one would be Japamala, since it covers all of their skills at once. With that out of the way, it's time to address one big issue. Even in my example, I've mentioned an magic attack value of 20, and that resulted in raw unmodified damage numbers in the range of 300. Of course, if we stack elemental boost from Japamala and magic boost, the numbers go up quite substantially. But you're not watching my videos for some reasonable values. So let me show how the numbers from the intro showcase came to be. I've used Rapha since she does not need any external help, and as a female unit has a higher base magic attack value. That means I needed to spend less time making her into a one-shotting monster that you already saw. The process was very simple and very boring. I leveled her from 1 to 99 as a mime, 2 times, with the leveling in Chemist. That gave me the raw magic attack value of 19. I could do this a few more times, but it was way too boring. So for the actual combat I decided to run Rapha in Black Mage as her main job. The main reason being the 150% modifier to magic attack value, and better gear options. With the help of Wizard's Rod, Wizard's Robe and Lambent Hat, I was able to reach 34 magic attack. And Japamala gives that elemental boost we needed. Since my Rapha has the astounding 22 bravery due to being a dedicated treasure hunter in her free time, I didn't bother to learn Shirahadori for her. So right now she's running with Vanish as her reaction. I probably should learn Mana Shield, but didn't bother right now due to her absurd HP pool. The support skill slot is reserved for magic boost, since this exercise is about getting biggest numbers. But I was able to squeeze movement plus 2 along the way. Also, since I reduce her fate value to single digit, her black magic skills are useless. So really we can't forget to slot Sky Mantra as her second active slot. And with our modifiers stacked to the brim, we're able to one-shot basically everything, if RNGesus allows. As you can see, Rapha can deal between 700 to 850 damage per hit with her skills, after Tactician damage reduction. and with enough time to think, the number can easily reach the cap of 999. Rest is just luck. We need her mantra to roll a large amount of attacks, and those attacks need to land on the enemy. In theory, she and Marach can have potential damage of 9990 in one skill use. Since the buffest enemist in the game does not have even 5000 HP, this is some absurd numbers to witness. Okay, I promised some Marach supports earlier, so now time's for that. The easiest thing you can do is deploy Beowulf alongside him, and just throw doubt on some poor creature to modify Marach's skill calculation to absurd values. He can probably reach damage cap this way with magic attack around 25, which is much easier to get than the numbers I got on Rapha. Just run him as a black mage and stack proper gear. In earlier stages of the game, Marach can be supported by mystics or orators. Casting Disbelief or using Enlightened will be also quite effective. After playing with their skill set, I have new respect for mantras. They require some stacking of modifiers, but can be very effective tools for dealing with bosses from quite early in the game. You'll need to gamble a bit with them, but the high rolls are very fun to observe. And you can actually slot those skills in many different builds. They can work quite well on Geomancer or Samurai. Marach could probably roll as a bard with them as a secondary skill. For Rapha there's more options. Since you can leave her fate value quite high, she can roll out as a time or white mage and have some useful damage tools in the back pocket. This is quite surprising for me, since usually those unique jobs force you down the specific path. But those siblings seems to have their jobs designed as providers of secondary skill set, and will work quite well in their specific niche. I will end my ramblings at that. Have fun with those two. Like, comment, subscribe and all that YouTube things. See ya in the next one.